3-yard quilts are perfect for quilt retreats.
We're going to show you our top 5 patterns and why they're the best.
Hi, it's Donna Robertson.
And Fran Morgan with Fabric Café.
We recently reached out on social media to get some tips on how to prepare for a quilt retreat.
We got so many great tips that we wanted to make sure we shared them with you.
And we're also going to share our top 5 patterns to take to a quilt retreat. So let's get started. Now, Sew Quick is the perfect pattern to take on a quilt retreat. As we all know, we do go to a quilt retreat to sew, but we also go to visit. And you want to pick a pattern that's easy enough to do that you won't be distracted by conversation and sew things upside down and get them all messed up. So this one's perfect because you've got a big block to cut. That's that simple, and a big 4 patch. So this one goes together very quickly and easily, and you can do it while you're carrying on a conversation. This is such fun fabric for this quilt pattern. And you know, it's a directional fabric, so we do want to point out that in keeping with our concept of visiting while we are sewing, this is about the only thing you have to really worry about, and that is you're going to cut blocks, and it's really not a worry. And they will very easily go in all of these big blocks, and there's no problem with turning or anything like that. Isn't that
so
cool?
Simple, yes.
Yeah.
So cool.
So this will be in all of these big blocks, and these are the cutest little sewing machines. We were discussing, we wondered, you know, if you get bored, you can try to read these things.
And you won't be bored because you're going to be enjoying making your pattern and visiting with all of your sewing friends.
That's right, and they'll all be envious because I think all quilters love making sewing type fabrics, the themes there.
It's cute.
It is cute. So this will be in our big blocks, and then we are going to choose our light and dark from the number 2 and the number 3 when you compare those. And then this will be everywhere you see the yellow. And then the stripe. Now this is another good pattern for stripes.
Yeah.
You do not have to worry about matching up your stripes. They're just going to work because whenever you cut the strips, that you're going to do strip piecing for this. And so you'll have 2 big strips of these, and then you just cut and then you turn, and this stripe can go either way. So that is no problem whatsoever.
It's really cute. It's really cute
It
stripe.
is. And then on the border, I love stripes on the border. It almost makes it look like you did something a little more complicated than you did.
Yeah, and it's not at all. It's great.
So let's look at an image of this quilt.
Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
It is cute. And all those little sewing machines, and you can see what I was saying about the stripes.
Yes, I love that. Stripes on a border are just heavenly.
They are, and I always like them because they add so much movement too.
Yeah, so this one is really great in this pattern. This fabric and this pattern are meant to be.
They are. And this kit is called So Beautiful. It's the Sew Quick pattern from the book Quilt Favorites.
Now, bold blocks is a fun one to take to retreat because we have a big block here, which these are super simple, you know that. And then we're just sewing strips onto 2 sides and then sew strips on again to 2 sides, and you're good. So you can visit, you can have fun, and you can accomplish a great pattern. Let's put it on the table, check out the fabric. I want to give you another tip for taking this to a quilt retreat. So one of our most popular tips that were told us was to make sure that you cut and label all of your pieces for your quilt before you go. Now you can organize them in Ziploc bags and tag them. You can clip little labels on them if you want. We even had a great tip on putting them in one of those rollies with the drawers in it so that you can put each quilt in a drawer, which I think is great.
I think that is a great idea, yes.
So many great tips. Now, in addition to this, we also had the tip to prepare more than one quilt for quilt retreat. You want to take multiples because you're going to get lots of sewing time, which is the whole point of a quilt retreat, right?
That's good.
And lots of visiting time, lots of sewing time. But, every once in a while when you get in that really great conversation, you accidentally sew that strip on the top then the bottom. Oh, I've done that. And you just need a break. So if you have more than one project, you can set that one aside, go over here and work a little bit on the next one. It's perfect.
It is. And Fran, I loved reading all the comments that were sent in, and they were just so much fun to read.
Yeah, they really, we learned so much from you guys. We just love that. I'd love to hear, how do you organize your pieces when you cut them for quilt retreat? So if you have something different than what we've mentioned here, be sure and put a comment below. We would love to hear. All right. Let's talk about this fabric, because this is fun. You know what else is really cool about quilt retreats?
What?
It's a great time to make gift quilts or donation quilts.
We get a lot of people say they make donation quilts, yes.
Yes, it's the perfect time to do this. And this is great fabric. So our focus fabric is this whole fireman. Don't you wish there were some hunky firemen in this? Wouldn't that be fun? So we have all their jackets and their helmets and their axes all ready for the fire. And that is our focus fabric. It'll go in the big block here. And then, like you mentioned, we take our focus out of the equation, compare our 2 and 3. Our lightest is our number 2 fabric. That is going to be everywhere the red is here. And then our number 3 fabric, I like this fabric with
I
this.
like that too.
It just looks like the red embers of a fire that these guys are chasing after, you know. That's going to go in this little strip on the side of your block here, and it just goes so well together.
You know how I can see this quilt being used is we live in a rather rural area, and if you're driving on these through little towns, you'll see volunteer fire department fundraisers.
Oh.
And that would be great to offer them a quilt that they could use for
Like a raffle.
A raffle.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I just thought of that while I was looking at it, because I just passed one of those signs the other day. They're having a pancake breakfast to raise money.
That's
that would
a
be
great idea. That's wonderful. There's so many, I love quilters. You big hearts. Thank you. All right, let's check out an image of this bold blocks made with this great fabric. And you can see it has lots of energy, lots of punch. I love the red and the cream together. I just think it really accentuates that focus fabric. And what a fun, fast pattern to put together.
Absolutely.
So now the kit information on this one, it is called a Firehouse. And the pattern is Bold Blocks from our Pretty Darn Quick book.
Now this pattern is balance, and it's a great pattern for a retreat because you'll be able to very easily keep your balance between visiting and sewing. It just goes together so well. And the little secret with this one is you don't have any seams to match up. So it'll go together very quickly, and you will take a quilt home with you. You know, just like I was saying, I loved all of the tips. And one of the tips that was sent in was to mark all of your tools. And that is a really good idea. Either use a label maker, or you can just use a piece of paper to write your name on it and then put it on with cellophane tape.
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
it's really easy to do, but there's a lot of sharing that goes on at the quilt retreats.
That's great.
Does anybody have an 8-inch square? You've all heard it.
Anybody have a fresh rotary blade?
So make sure that you get your tools back at the end of the retreat. As I mentioned, this quilt has absolutely no seams that you have to match up. So you're not going to have to sit there and very carefully pin corners together so that they don't shift. You can pretty well just keep sewing on this
Yes,
one.
which is great.
And if you like that concept, we have a whole video that we did about our different patterns with no seams to match. So be sure to check that out. Now this is going to be our number 1 fabric. I love this. I love all those colors.
Yes, it's so pretty.
This is going to go in the center of the block and out here on the border. And I think that is going to be fun to really highlight that one. Then our number 2 fabric is going to be the background fabric. And this is nice because it's sort of like subtle focus fabrics, but they are kind of like a double focus because they're separated by the number 3.
Yes.
Then it will keep that so that your focus will go in such a way that you can see the design.
Yep.
And then you also have 2 very interesting fabrics that go together.
And you know, I like the number 3 on this one because it actually has it's not a real structured stripe, but it definitely has a direction. And when you border a block with that, it puts those stripes in just the right place, which is so much more interesting when you have that texture.
This is going to be great. Let's show them an image so they can see for themselves how cool that is. I love that little light aqua color in the background. It really makes those boxes
pop. Yes,
Yeah.
you can really see all those blocks stacked together on that, and it's really a lot of fun. And I really liked your point about it's kind of like a double focus, because you know we love interesting fabric number twos because we don't want them to be boring. And this one really works, and it does kind of act like a double focus. Really love that in this quilt.
I
It's
like
gorgeous
that
quilt.
too. So this one is called Tropical Blast. It's the balance pattern from the Quilts on the Double.
So our next pattern to take on a quilt retreat is Curio. And this is a great one to take because we have this great snowball block here. Now this is an easy method, just a stitch and flip. And when you're at retreat and you're putting these corners on, you can just visit and put these on, no worries, because you can turn this block however you want once it's made. Now, if you're using a directional fabric on this, however, you will want to pay attention to that and turn it the right way, but you can still make it any old way, and then we'll turn them when we put them together. So it makes it a great one. You can have all the fun at quilt retreat and make a beautiful quilt. So our next tip for quilt retreat is to pack a set of tools just for a quilt retreat. Now you're going to have your tools at home that you'll use, but you can keep another set already packed and ready to go.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah, and that's going to save so much time. And also it could be helpful to make a list of those tools, maybe keep it digitally just so that you can go back to it, double check and make sure you have everything you need. And if you need a special tool, then every once in a while be sure to put those in there too, and maybe put that on your list as well as a special tool that could be used.
And that master list would be great if you don't have a duplicate, then you could just use your master list to pack.
Oh, that would save so much time as well.
That would,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, but I can see how if you had that extra set, you could just grab and go. Wouldn't that be just wonderful?
Yeah, that would be super easy.
That would be great. All right, we have our Curio pattern up here. Let's talk about that and look at this amazing fabric. This is the most unique fabric.
It is.
It is so interesting. I just love the fact that we have our very peaceful moons, beautifully colored florals, and these owls. I really like all of these different owls on here. They're just, it's so interesting. So many different, I guess, breeds of owls and different things that are just tucked in, some little ones, some big ones, and all of these gorgeous florals. Now this is going to go in the big snowball block here, and it is a directional, but remember what we talked about at the quilt. When you're sewing your corners on, you just sew them on, and then you turn the block to be the direction it needs. So that's great for quilt retreat because you're not having to think too hard, right?
Right. Or making an asymmetrical block that you would have to be very careful about.
Right, so this is perfect. I love these owls. So our number 2 fabric is just kind of the mottled kind of white and gray, and that's going to be the background everywhere you see the white fabric here. And then our number 3, perfect fabric.
Stars.
It's a navy with a little star.
That's so sweet.
And that is going to go like in our sashing block and our joining blocks here. Perfect for our owls. Really like this. This is really
I can't wait to see the image on this one.
Oh, well, let's not wait. Let's show them now.
All right, let me see.
And you can see how well that goes together. And, I just love this fabric. It's so unique. I think it's so different.
And you know, this is the perfect pattern to show off those unique fabrics because it's like you framed them.
Yes.
Yeah, that is great.
And double matted it.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's like a piece of art.
It really is. It just turned out beautiful. Love the Curio pattern. And the kit information on this one is called Night Owl. Once again, the Curio pattern from the book Make It Modern.
I guess you're wondering by now how we could come up with so many fantastic patterns that you could take to a retreat and keep visiting while you're making them, and they turn out so cool. This one is called Enchanting, and it's a super simple 1-block pattern, and as you know, that gets you in that zone and you can just sew and sew and sew because once you've made 1 block, it's easy to make the remainder. And if you like making a few half-square triangles, this is perfect because you're only making a few, and that just adds that little pizzazz to the quilt. So let's look at the fabric that we're going to put in this one. Now, tip number 5, which also was our second most suggested tip, was to bring snacks and small gifts.
Yes.
And guess what the snack was everyone wanted? Chocolate. Surprise!
I like chocolate.
I do too. And so that is a great tip because, just the little chocolate bars or something like that. And then the small gifts, I thought that was very, very sweet and very, very generous to pick out some small sewing type items. I mean, what would you suggest for some of the things that you might do, like
a thread hugger or some little clips in a baggie or even a new seam ripper? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, those are nice small gifts. And we've expanded our notions section on Fabric Cafe's site, and we have a lot of little goodies like that. I especially thought those little thread huggies were cute.
Yeah, they are. They're super cute.
So be sure to check that out too. But let's get back to the gorgeous, gorgeous fabric and this pattern. Now, you might wonder when you look at this pattern how we could say this is going to be a quick and easy to make quilt.
It is.
It is.
It's really fast.
I really like this block. Could you crop it out for us, Fran? Because I thought this was so cool whenever Fran designed it. And it's just a very interesting block. And it's a one block, so once you make one of these, and you're making them in steps. So why don't you step it out too? It's cool.
It's very simple. So we have just our main block in the center here, which is just a square. But then we have a strip assembly. So let me show you this. The strip assembly is just 2 long strips sewn together, of course, and then you cut these units off. Now this strip assembly is on all 4 sides. So you've got it there, you have it here as well. Now the difference with the ones on the sides, as opposed to the top and bottom, is we've also sewn 1 half square triangle to each end. And then we've put them on the side, so it makes it super, super easy. But basically the strip assembly is just done over and over. You cut those units and then half of them you're putting half square triangles on. And it really makes this a really cool pattern, and it creates this kind of diamond here, which I really love. I think it kind of gives it a little pop.
And at so many retreats, we do little show and tell when we get to the end. This one's going to get a lot of oohs and ahs if you pick this one out, because it is one that goes together so fast that you'll be able to complete that.
Yeah, it's so fun. So fun.
Okay, let's look at this gorgeous fabric. Isn't this, it looks like a piece of art. I love these artsy fabrics that we've been showing. And this one is going to be everywhere you see the square here. So that'll be the center of the block. And then you have your number 2 fabric, the light fabric, is going to be in this background. And that really does cause this element to really show up on the block. And it's almost like it's like these are floating on this background.
It kind of does look like that. You kind of have to do a double take.
So I really like that. And then the number 3 fabric, and oh my gosh, is that not just perfect? That is so perfect to border the corners of this block.
Yeah, so pretty.
I like that. So let's look at an image of this quilt. I think this is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous, and it looks like the water lilies are floating in a pond.
Perfect. That is absolutely perfect.
And I love the way the number 3 fabric creates that interest of those little corners on there, so that it really gives you that, like you have to do a double take. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it is the perfect backdrop for those lilies. It's gorgeous. Now this particular kit is called Water Lilies. It's the Enchanting pattern from the book Magic of 3-Yard Quilts.
So thanks to everyone that sent in their great tips and tricks for quilt retreats.
And what is your favorite quilt retreat pattern? We'd love for you to share it with us and our other viewers if you could put it in the comments.
And if you'd like to see more great quilt retreat ideas, be sure to check out the video that pops up next.
It's Donna Robertson
and Fran Morgan with Fabric Cafe.
Happy quilting!